Welcome, ghouls, ghosts, and mere mortals, to a cold October evening here at the Hidden Creek Manor. And in this episode, we are going to build the ultimate low-lying fog machine out of a cheap fog machine from a local Halloween store, some household chemicals, and a pond mister. So let's get straight into it and get to work. Alright, so the first thing that we'll take a look at is the fog machine. This is just a cheap fog machine that we got at Spirit Halloween, I believe. The original fog machine that we were going to use for this build was a 1,000-watt fog machine from Party City. Still a pretty cheap model, but that one died out on us, so we had to replace it last minute with this one. But regardless, it's still a cheap fog machine, so it will do. And just to get a base idea of what we're starting with, I've got some store-bought fog inside of the fog machine right now. So let's just run it just as is, just the fog machine alone with some store-bought fog and see what we've got. So not too bad, decent amount of fog coming out of there, but you'll notice that it's going up. Okay, and like I said, it's a cool evening in October here at the Hidden Creek Manor. So this is part of the issue. What we want is low-lying fog, specifically for our Kraken's Cove section of the haunt, so that way we can use our lasers to make it look like water. So that's not going to work. And also, as you just saw, it cuts off. It'll shoot out some fog for a short period of time, and then it cuts off, and then it shoots out fog, then it cuts off. So while it's off, what fog is left goes away. But also, you saw the fog that came out. It was decent looking, but it wasn't a lot of fog. We want a lot of fog, so we're going to make our own. But before we make our own fog, let's take a look at our old setup and see another way that you can make a low-lying fog machine. Alright, so this is it. This is our old setup. This was a cooler that we bought at Goodwill for cheap. I don't know how much it was. I forgot to turn the fog machine off. Let me turn them off for a second. Anyway, this was a cooler that we got at Goodwill real cheap, and we drilled a hole on either side so that way we could have this piping go through. And on one side of the piping, we have our fog machine piping that fog into the chiller. On the inside, let's pour some ice in here first. And as you can see, the piping just goes all over inside of that cooler, and then that ice just cools down that fog. So why do we want our fog to be cool, you might ask? It's a good question. You see, heat rises, and with the smoke machine, it's heating up this moisture to create a vapor. So as the vapor comes out of this smoke machine, it is quite warm, and when it's cool air out, that warm air just goes straight up and goes away. So the idea with the cooler is to cool down the actual fog as it makes its way through the cooler, and hopefully when it comes out on the other side, it will, instead of go up into the air, lay low. So let's see if we can make that happen. So it wasn't the best demonstration because I had a lot of spillage. But you'll notice that instead of going straight up like it was going before, it is still kind of hanging out around here, going down just a little bit. Of course, my hand messing with it is affecting that. But it is, at least after going through the cooler, sticking around a little bit better than what it did without the cooler. We'll let it run through one more time and see if that makes a difference, because as it gets cooler and cooler, it should make it lay a little bit lower. Oh well. I was hoping to help out with some of that spillage, but like I said, you can see, instead of going straight up like you see where it comes out of the fog machine, here it's kind of going down a little bit because it's cooled off a little bit. It's not as warm. It actually feels quite cool when I put my hand here. So as you can see, it works kind of well, but we want it to work better than this. But also, we want more fog than this. So let's make some strong fog. All right, so as we saw just a few minutes ago, the store-bought fog that we used in the fog machine, it put out a decent amount of fog, but it just wasn't a huge amount of fog. It wasn't really thick fog. It didn't stick around for a long period of time. And part of the reason that store-bought fog doesn't stick around as long, it isn't going to be as thick, is that there's a lot of distilled water in the store-bought fog. And in our mixture that we're going to make tonight, we are going to use distilled water, but not as much as the store-bought brands or Big Fog uses. I don't know specifically why they use so much distilled water. The vegetable glycerin is pretty thick, so I know the distilled water can help with that, so maybe that's part of it. You don't want it to be too thick to clog up the fog machines, but whatever the case may be, we're going to make our own. I've made it before. It works pretty well. I haven't had any issues. And it's really simple. The mixture that I make is a third distilled water, a third of the propylene glycol, and a third of the vegetable glycerin. If you make your own, make sure that you get either food grade or medical grade. Do not get the dirt cheap stuff. Make sure that you get the decent stuff. You are making fog that people are going to be inhaling. So make sure that it is, like I said, food or medical grade. But like I said, a third of each. Super simple. So let's get to it. Third cup of distilled water. I can't see what I'm doing. Oh, that's almost perfect. Third cup of the propylene glycol. And a third cup of the vegetable glycerin, and like I said, this one's pretty thick. Okay, now we will stir that up, mix it together, put it in the fog machine, see what we get. Alright, so while the fog machine is heating up, let's take a look at our setup for the pond mister. So, yeah, I mentioned earlier how by cooling the fog as it comes out of the smoke machine, it helps it stick around longer. But even with that cooler, it doesn't cool it enough. So with this pond mister, it creates its own mist, almost like a witch's cauldron, if you will. And that mist that it creates combines with the fog and kind of binds together and holds it down and makes it stick around longer. So for this setup to work, this has to be floating in water. So I took one of our Halloween storage cases. This is a prototype, okay? So don't judge me on the looks. And we're going to put that pond mister on the inside. We're going to fill it with water. The fog is going to come out here. And the fog machine is going to be sitting here. I'll show you guys a little video, but I took a PVC pipe. I cut a hole in this. It's a 90-degree elbow. It was supposed to go from the other fog machine that we had that had a much different connection, but this is a weird connector, so I had to make a little makeshift thing out of the bin, but it'll do its job, hopefully. So, tell you guys what, I'm going to fill this up with water, and we're going to test out that fog machine. Alright, the fog machine is ready. You can see it's got fog coming off of it already. So, let's turn it on, see what we get. So already I can tell a difference. Now, of course, we don't have anything cooling it, so it's still going to go off into the air. Look how thick that fog is. Yeah, that's just so much thicker than that store-bought fog. And actually, I'm gonna move the camera so you guys can see this. See, as it goes off, it is just a thick, thick cloud. So now that we've got our mister going, let's get our fog machine on top of it. I just want to show you guys. Oh, this is heavy. Probably should have noticed before. But you can see that even with just the mist, look at that. Look at that. It's going down. That's what we want. Now what will happen when we combine it with the fog? All right, so I'm going to mount the fog machine on here. Now, full disclosure, guys, you can see I have all this duct tape and it's all kind of rigged together here. There's going to be a lot of fog spillage up here. Once again, this fog machine is not the one I selected originally. You can see it's got kind of a long slit instead of the round that I originally planned on. So, it is what it is. And before we get this going, I have one more piece. So I also have this computer fan that we might use to help pull the fog through. We'll see. It's got to be there in standby. Let's turn on the fog machine and see what happens. So like I said, you can see there's a lot of fog spillage up there at the top. But down here, look at that. Thick fog going down. I believe we have ourselves a winner. I don't think I'm going to need the fan. It seems to be blowing out pretty well. It's going down, which is what we want to see. But let's try it and see what happens. Alright, so I've got the fan hooked up now. You guys can see it. Now the fog's starting to come through. I mean, it's really coming out now. So the fan may be a bit much.
Oh my goodness, you can't even see me. Because I can't even see you. It's too much smell.
Alright, guys. Alright, guys. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I can barely breathe right now. I'm undecided on the fan. I've noticed that it's collecting a lot of water and it's creating a lot of fog. So we may keep the fan, we may not. Who knows? I guess it all depends on what it looks like whenever we set it up in Kraken's Cove. So if you guys want to see what this looks like whenever we do set it up, I want to consider subscribing to the channel. That way you can be notified whenever our Halloween night video comes out and you can see this in action. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode. One more thing I did want to bring up, guys. I know I am selling merch now, and I said that all the proceeds are going to go to helping the Hurricane Helene victims, and I said that we were going to be doing this to the end of October. We're having some issues with our site right now. For some reason, it refuses to ship anything. So if any of you guys have tried to order stuff already, I apologize for that issue. I am working on trying to get it fixed. Because we are having issues with that, we are going to extend the amount of time that we are going to give to those Hurricane Helene victims. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Happy haunting. I will see you in the next one. Congratulations. You made it to the end of the video. As a reward for sticking around, you may now watch one of these two videos. The choice is yours, but choose wisely.